Within the past 4 decades, some of the best F1 races have occurred and drivers have come along and have changed the face of the sporting world. With these highs, we have also seen some of the best races in F1 history, with drivers shining through, showing talent and the skill that these drivers possess. This is part 2 of my series of saying the best drivers of every decade, and this time I'm going to cover the 1990s up to the 2020s. Just as a notice, this video is going out at the end of the 2023 summer break, so any races that are insane or brilliant in the future won't be on here. I'm sorry. The 1990s signalled the end of the manual era for F1 and the beginning of the era of automation, a change of the guard, from the old legends to the new era of racing. Drivers were at the peak of fitness and the sport becoming more and more worldwide. Monaco was the track for the best driver in the 1980s and it was for the 1990s. The 1996 season was interesting in the way that Michael Schumacher, who was the previous world champion for the past 2 years, was now an anemic Ferrari after leaving Benetton, and as a result, the door was opened up for Williams, a number 1 driver Damon Hill, who was being challenged by hotshot Canadian Jacques Villeneuve, who was the reigning IndyCar champion and in his rookie F1 season. The Monaco Grand Prix looked to be a race full of rain, and this called out the best drivers. Schumacher, Hakkinen, Barrichello and the GOATs, Ricciardo, Rosset, all spun or crashed in the race. Only 3 cars finished the race out of the 22 that started. Only 4 of the cars that retired were due to mechanical failure, but there was 1 car that shined. The blue Ligier of Olivier Panis started in 14th, and he decided to do a strategy where he would not refuel in the race, which could lead to him not finishing. Hill retired and he was the race leader about halfway through the race due to an engine failure, and this handed the lead to Alesi. However, Alesi's suspension failed, which gave the lead to Panis. He managed to stay on track, avoid the same fate of almost every driver, and eventually came across the line to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Panis' only win and the last of Ligier's wins in F1. This was a race of constant crashes that a backmarker won. The 2000s was the decade of Ferrari and Michael Schumacher dominance, but the best driver from this decade is not one of the established greats, it is one of the future. The 2005 US Grand Prix. The 2008 British Grand Prix was the midpoint of the 2008 season, and the point in the season where the title battle between Lewis Hamilton, Felipe Massa and Robert Kubica started to hot up, and when the F1 grid descended onto Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, the weather forecast predicted a washout. Hamilton lined up in 4th behind Raikkonen, Webber and Kovalainen, who was his teammate and who was on pole. As the 5 red lights went out, Hamilton got a great start and passed Webber and Raikkonen at Copse, the first corner at the time, and had to look down the inside of Kovalainen, but he lost out to it due to his teammate having the better line. Over the span of the next 60 laps, 5 cars spun out the race, whilst Hamilton overtook Kovalainen on lap 5 and pulled ahead of the field. Whilst nearly every other driver spun, Hamilton held on to win his first British Grand Prix by 68 seconds and lapped every other car up to 3rd place. No other words are needed other than him beating the field by over a minute in a race full of safety cars and drama and people spinning out whilst he kept it on the tarmac. The 2010s was the decade of Red Bull rising, McLaren falling and Mercedes destroying every record that stood before them. But that driver from the 2000s is not coming from any of those teams. It is a driver that dominated the first part of the decade. Sebastian Vettel was a dominant force at the start of the 2010s, but towards the end of the decade he began to fade, and during 2019 he was struggling with an unstable Ferrari that constantly wanted to spin. But when it came to his home race at Hockenheim, he was a different driver. In qualifying, Vettel did not partake, so he started last, but like many great races that have great drivers, it was raining. During the race, every other driver spun or crashed, including the human banana Charles Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Hulkenberg and Sergio Perez, who all retired due to crashing. 2 of the best drivers to ever race in the wet, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, spun at some point, but the spin-prone Vettel kept it on the tarmac all race and cut through the field from 20th, finishing 2nd, to drive better than any other car on track. Had it been for him not qualifying and starting at the back, he most likely would have won. The 2020s was the end of the Mercedes dominance and the beginning of the Red Bull revival, but with a new young talent at the helm of the car. But the best driver is from 2020, that's from a driver who had to fight back through the field during the race, and that driver is Sergio Perez. It is the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix, and Sergio Perez started in 5th, but on the first lap, he almost got past pole holder Bottas, who had a bad start, and this ended up causing a bit of a traffic jam behind him. But at turn 4, Charles Leclerc missed his braking point and hit Sergio Perez on his right rear tyre. This caused him to be spun round. Leclerc was out on the spot, Verstappen was as well due to him trying to avoid the incident. Perez pitted under the safety car the incident caused, and this caused him to be at the back. Over the next 54 laps, Perez carved his way through the field until Latifi pulled over to the side of the track to retire, and this caused a virtual safety car. This meant that both Mercedes pitted. It led to Perez, who didn't pit, to go up to 3rd place. Then Aitken, who was replacing Russell at Williams, crashed and brought out the safety car, and Mercedes pitted again, but they screwed it up, leading to Bottas and Russell, who was filling in for Hamilton, who had coffee for it, dropping him back through the field. But Russell began to cut back through the field and got up to 2nd place and was closing in on Perez until lap 78, when he had a right rear tyre puncture and had to pit. That led to Perez crossing the line to win his first race after being at the back on the first lap due to a crash and fighting back through the field. It's maybe one of the best comeback drives to be ever seen in F1, with the midfield car beating everyone else before them. Anyway, this has been the end of the best drives from every decade, so if you have enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.